The hip-hop world just exploded again. Jim Jones, once a self-proclaimed Nas superfan, is now out here taking wild shots at the legend, calling himself bigger for the culture and clowning Nas's impact live on camera. But this isn't just friendly competition. This is the Harlem hustler switching sides, throwing away old respect for viral headlines and the hope of a Jay-Z cosign, and nobody's buying it, least of all 50 Cent, who jumped right in to expose Jim's game, calling him a pawn in Jay-Z's war. See, this beef is bigger than just bars and Billboard stats. It's about loyalty, legacy, and the dirty game of rap chess where legends get tested and snakes get caught slithering in the open. Fans are asking, did Jim ever really respect Nas? Or is this all a master plan by Jay-Z, quietly pulling strings and letting Jim play the fool? 50 Cent isn't holding back, he's exposing the whole messy triangle for what it is, and in a world where numbers come and go, but respect lasts forever. One thing's for sure: when legends clash and the puppets start to dance, the entire game watches waiting for the real to stand up. Atlanta was buzzing. But for real hip-hop heads, the real heat wasn't in the clubs, it was in the comments section. Twitter, Instagram, Clubhouse rooms, even random group chats, all on fire with one question: did Jim Jones just betray Nas, and is Jay-Z pulling the strings? It started as a slow simmer. Jim was always loud. Anyone who'd been to a Dipset show knew the energy. But this time, he wasn't just talking about new music or flexing for Harlem. He was on Fat Joe and Jadakiss' podcast, Wild and Loose. Joe tossed him a softball. "Jim, these kids comparing you to Nas, saying you're the voice of their generation, how you feel about that?" Jim's face lit up like he'd been waiting his whole life for this double quotes. "Yo, no disrespect to Nas, but I've been out here changing the game for these young cats. Look at the numbers, look at the Billboard hits, the influence. Nas was dope for my era, but now I'm more relevant. Half these kids don't even know Nas unless their pops played Illmatic in the crib." At first, everyone laughed, but then Jim doubled down hard. "Listen, let's go to the stats. Pull up Nas's entries, pull up mine. I've been putting on, I'm not saying Nas ain't a legend, but right now, I'm the culture." Jadakiss just stared, dead silent. The look on his face said everything. "Bro, you really gonna do this on mic?" Jim was feeling himself, but the real ones in the room knew something was off. There's bold, and then there's reckless. And this was reckless. The internet took that clip and went crazy. Some young fans cheered him on, but the OGs, they were not having it. Jim lost his mind. You can't compare anyone to Nas. Dipset was cool, but Nas built empires. But Jim wasn't done. He got even bolder. He called out Nas's irrelevance to this generation, claimed the Diplomats did more for culture than Nas ever could, and basically erased his own history as a Nas superfan. The old interviews, the photos backstage, the stories about studying Nas's flow, gone in a single podcast. But then, the twist. People remembered Jim Jones spent years beefing with Jay-Z. The Rockefeller split, the Harlem drama, the time Jay refused to make Cameron VP. Jim clowned Jay everywhere, said he was soft, out of touch, not real Harlem. But suddenly, out of nowhere, Jim's best friends with Jay. He's calling Jay Big Homie. He's popping up at ROC Nation brunches, smiling for the cameras, acting like the past never happened. Fans started whispering, "Yo, something don't add up. Why Jim suddenly switching sides?" Then the receipts dropped. Ms. Old tweets, street stories. Jim spent the last year quietly patching things up with Jay, and right after making that alliance official, suddenly, Jim's not just going at Nas. He's saying things that sound a lot like Jay's old talking points. That's when 50 Cent entered the chat. 50, who has zero filter and zero patience for industry games, saw the clip and went off. He posted a pic of Nas and himself, captioned, "Legends don't chase numbers, they build the culture. Stop playing with real legacy." In his story, he wasn't subtle. Some people do anything for a seat at the table. I ain't never needed a boss, and I sure as hell ain't running to no one for Kozan. Nas, a legend. Loyalty matters. Some of y'all forgot that. The culture woke up. People started connecting the dots. Jay-Z using Jim Jones to reignite old beefs. Why would Jim, after idolizing Nas for so long, suddenly go this hard? And why did it all happen after he started getting cozy with Jay again? On Twitter, conspiracy. Threads ran wild. Jay-Z sending Jim at Nas so he stays clean. Classic chess move. Jim's chasing a Rock Nation deal, so he's selling out the culture. This is 50 versus Jay-Z by proxy watch. It's about to get ugly. The drama took over the city. Radio stations debated it for hours. Every blog had a hot take. Even Nas's camp was quiet. No clapback, no response, just silence. But Jim, he kept running his mouth. He went on IG Live, waving his phone. "Show me the stats. Show me the streams. Y'all stuck in the past? I'm out here working. Nas. Ah. Legend, but I'm still here, dropping heat." Who else can say that? But nobody cared about the numbers anymore. This was about loyalty. It was about the invisible hands moving the pieces on the board. And the more Jim talked, the more people sided with Nas. Because in hip-hop, real always recognizes real. And real ones don't switch sides for a shot at a brunch invite. Meanwhile, Jay-Z stayed silent, looking polished and untouched, just the way he liked it. And 50? He was gearing up for the next round. On Twitter, he teased, "If you think this is over, just wait till you see the receipts I'm about to drop." The whole game held its breath, because everyone knew when. It comes to rap beef, the first shots are loud, but the quiet ones always cut the deepest. The drama wasn't dying down, it was leveling up. By the next morning, every shade room, YouTube podcast, and barbershop was on high alert. Jim wildin' for the clout. Nah, he right new generation don't know Nas. All forgetting? Numbers don't make you a legend. Hip-hop. Fans picked camps with the speed of a Twitter hashtag war. It wasn't just Jim versus Nas anymore. Now, every debate turned into real bars versus viral buzz, legacy versus relevance, and who's a pawn, who's a king. On IG Live, fans argued deep into the night some, showing love to Jim for keeping himself relevant, others roasting him for selling out. But nobody was louder than 50 Cent. 50 took his role as Nas's unofficial bodyguard seriously. He dropped an unfiltered Instagram Live, looking right into the camera. "Hoodie up. Listen. All these little homies thinking they can build their name off dissing legends, try that with me. See what happens. Jim, you ever wonder why they call you a pawn? It's 'cause you always let someone else hold the strings. First it was Cam, now Jay. Be your own man." The comments exploded. 50, the last real one left. He ain't lying about Jim's flip-flopping. Cube Nas. 50, these are the OGs. Jim just wants a Rock Nation invite. Meanwhile, Nas remained silent, but his fans were on a mission. Hashtag Nas Forever started trending worldwide. Old interview. Clips resurfaced Nas talking about building the culture, not chasing numbers. Fans posted side-by-sides. Nas's 16 top 10 albums, 6 number ones, compared to Jim's 3 top 10s. 0 number ones. One tweet hit 100K likes. You can't buy legendary status. You earn it. Jim's in the club. Nas is in the Hall of Fame. But Jim wasn't backing down. He went on another podcast, desperate to spin the narrative. Yo, I respect Nas, but why can't we have this conversation? Why can't a new era talk about new kings? Everybody's so sensitive, let the music talk. Yet, every time Jim tried to explain himself, the more obvious it got, he was rattled. Clips went viral of him stumbling over answers, sweating in interviews. His own team looking nervous in the background. Insiders started leaking. Jim was on the phone all night with ROC Nation staff, asking if Jay was still supporting him after the backlash. He needs this deal to work. He's feeling the heat, but Jay-Z, stone cold, all smiles at a Lakers game. Courtside with Beyoncé, unbothered by the chaos. Blogs started calling him the silent puppet master. YouTubers dropped theory videos. Is Jay-Z using Jim Jones as a distraction to keep eyes off his next business move? And then came the real bombshell. 50 Cent posted a screenshot of an old DM from Jim Jones. Sent years ago, "Big bro, always respected you. You showed us how to move solo." 50 captioned it, "See, loyalty's only good when you're desperate. Don't act new for the cameras, Jim. People remember everything." Twitter lost its mind. Jim was begging for a G-Unit deal. How many times this dude switched teams? 50 just finished him with one post. And for the first time, Jim's own Dipset fans started to distance themselves. OG Harlem Heads tweeted, "Loyalty used to mean something. Now, everybody for sale." Even Cameron threw shade on his IG story. Funny how folks change for a seat at the big boy table. Harlem don't move like that. At this point, Jim was boxed in, defending himself on every platform, trying to claim he was starting. Conversation not dissing legends. But nobody was buying it. Journalists dug up old footage of Jim talking about idolizing Nas gushing about Illmatic, sharing stories about the first time he heard NY's State of Mind. Fans replied, "How you go from superfan to hater overnight?" But the most chilling reaction was Nas's silence. No diss track, no tweet, just a single Instagram post, a photo of a notebook and a pen. No caption. Fans went wild. Is Nas about to respond in the booth? Only legends answer with music, not drama. 50 Cent kept the pressure up. On The Breakfast Club, he laughed. "Look, I ain't got no beef with Jim, but if you're gonna run your mouth about a legend, don't be mad when people remind you where you started. If I ever switch up, call me out too. But you won't catch me changing for a check." Angela Yee. So you're saying Jay-Z is behind this? 50 just smirked. Let's just say, some people like to keep their hands clean while someone else does the dirty work. Y'all do the math? And then, the industry's biggest twist word leaked that Jay-Z's team was planning a hip-hop unity summit. A massive event bringing together icons, young stars, and industry bosses. Jay Nas, 50, Gem everyone. On one stage, but the invite list? Exclusive. And rumors swirled that Jim's seat wasn't guaranteed. AROC Nation insider told a blogger, "If Jim thinks this beef is helping his cause, he's got it twisted. Jay don't like drama around his brand. He wanted a soldier, not a headline." Now, Jim's desperation was public. He tried to save face, posting a video. "Y'all can say what you want. I've been real since day one. Still here, still winning. No beef, just facts." But nobody was listening. 50 dropped his final bomb for the week, a throwback photo of him, Nas, Snoop, and Dr. Dre with the caption, "Legends stick together." No need to chase a seat at the table when you built the house. The likes and comments rolled in, all echoing one message: clout fades. Loyalty never does. But just as fans thought the saga was cooling off, whispers started swirling. Nas was back in the studio, and something big was about to drop. Days passed, but the tension never died down. Hip-hop was restless, waiting, whispering, holding its breath, Nas's silence wasn't defeat. It was the calm before the storm. Rumors flew. Is Nas dropping a response? Will he even acknowledge Jim's disrespect, or just bury him with art? Then, one late Friday night, the internet broke. A single link appeared on Nas's socials. Midnight. Be ready. Fans knew what was coming. Everyone set their alarms. The culture was on edge. At midnight sharp, Nas dropped a new track, no features. Just 3 minutes of razor-sharp storytelling. The artwork was classic. A faded photograph of old New York, scribbled with the words "legacy" over hype. The world stopped to listen. The beat hit dusty, soulful, pure Queensbridge. Nas's voice was calm but cutting. He never mentioned Jim by name. T didn't have to. Every bar was a masterclass in subtlety and power. I seen the pawns in the game get played by a king. Trading loyalty for brunch, lost the crown for a fling. I don't chase stats. I build what lasts. Numbers run out, but legends never pass. Watch. Them switching sides for a mention and a seat, while the real stay quiet and still own the street. You can borrow the throne, but you rent it by the hour. The culture's in my veins. Legacy is my power. Twitter exploded. Nas killed Jim with poetry, not pettiness. No names, just facts. That's how a legend responds. Legacy over hype. #that. Even Nas's biggest critics had to admit he'd turned shade into art. Every blog, every podcast, every YouTube reactor dropped instant reviews. Clips of Jim's podcasts went viral next to Nas's new verses. The contrast was embarrassing, but the saga wasn't over. 50 Cent couldn't resist. He posted a story with the new Nas track playing and the text. Sometimes you answer a clown with silence, sometimes with a symphony. Take notes. Jim Jones tried to save face, hopping on IG Live right after the drop. He fumbled through a speech about respect for Nas, just starting conversation, and the culture needing debate. But the fans weren't buying it. The comments were brutal. Now you respect Nas. Clout chasing never wins. You played yourself, bro. Meanwhile, Jay-Z watched from the sidelines, as always. His camp issued a vague statement about respect for all voices in the culture and building bridges, not beefs. But the damage was done. Industry insiders whispered that Jay had set the chessboard, using Jim as a test who would stay loyal, who would flip for attention. He knew the power of silence, letting others fight while he watched and learned. As the dust settled, hip-hop took stock. New think pieces dropped everywhere. Why loyalty still matters in rap. From Hall of Fame to hot takes, the dangers of chasing trends. Jay-Z, the puppet master, is he really building or just controlling? Even Dipset OGs were forced to reflect. Cameron threw a few shots on a podcast. Laughing man, Jimmy got himself played. Harlem, don't move like that. You gotta keep your name solid. A viral TikTok edit captured the whole timeline. Jim as a superfan. Jim taking shots. Jay-Z's silent chess. 50 Cent's receiptsiness. Poetic comeback. The final caption, trends fade. Legacy stays. But the true turning point came at the so-called Hip-Hop Unity Summit. Jay-Z, Nas, 50 Cent, Jim Jones, and every major voice in the culture invited. The world waited to see would there be fireworks, apologies, or just awkward silence. The summit was packed, cameras everywhere, energy tense. Jay-Z spoke first. All business. We're here because hip-hop is family. Debate is healthy. But respect is the foundation. Don't forget the real ones who built this. 50 Cent took the mic, eyes on Jim. Just remember, loyalty means you ride even when the cameras are off. It's not just about the numbers, it's about the heart. Jim Jones tried to defend himself, stumbling, I never meant to diss. I just wanted the conversation. Nas is a legend, no doubt. Nas.com and Regal closed it out. I'm not here for beef. I'm here for the culture. I built my legacy on truth, not trends. Let's remember who we are. The crowd stood, a real standing ovation, not for the drama, but for the lesson learned. As the night ended, a new energy settled over hip-hop. Young fans tweeted that they were revisiting Nas's classics. Old heads shared stories of Dipset's golden era, but shook their heads at the mess Jim had made. Jay-Z once again managed to stay above the fray. But the world saw through the game. Now everyone knew where the strings were pulled. Outside, 50 Cent and Nas were caught laughing. Together, no bitterness, just real respect. Jim slipped out quietly, reflecting on what loyalty means and how quick a moment of hype can vanish in the light of real greatness. And that's how legends move. Not by screaming their names, but by letting history and the streets speak. For them, this saga was bigger than numbers. It was about loyalty, legacy, and who really runs the culture. Was Jim Jones just chasing clout, or did he have a point about the new era? Did Nas and 50 Cent prove why legends never fade? And was Jay-Z really pulling all the strings from behind the scenes? Sound off in the comments. Who do you think came out on top, Jim, Nas, 50, or Jay-Z? Can viral moments ever replace real legacy? Do you respect Jim for speaking up, or did he just play himself? Don't forget, hit like, subscribe, and ring the bell. For more real hip-hop drama, untold stories, and the hottest debates. Your comment could spark the next conversations, so let your voice be heard. Be heard.